Welcome to Money Talks, a series of interviews with me, Liam Halligan, Economics and Business Editor of GBNews. In this episode, I talked to Andy Scanlon, the UK franchisee of Sandbox VR, one of the world's leading location-based virtual reality companies. Sandbox VR provides fully immersive gaming experiences in physical city centre locations involving teams of players. It has its own unique titles such as Amber Sky 2088 and Deadwood Mansion, which are all designed in-house. While working as an investment analyst in Singapore, Andy visited a Sandbox VR venue and was so impressed he contacted the Hong Kong-based owner and was granted distribution rights across the UK and the Republic of Ireland. Having launched the first Sandbox VR venue in London in July 2022, Andy Scanlon's planning further locations in Manchester, Birmingham and Dublin over the coming months. Now, this particular business, your business here in the UK, when you went for a trip in Singapore, right?
I actually was living in Singapore at the time with my fiance. I'd moved out in start 2019. I was running a small investment advisory business out there and quite serendipitously stumbled into a Sandbox VR, and from that point, everything changed.
So this business existed in Singapore and you thought, I want to bring this to the UK because, of course, the UK is an absolutely huge leisure market and it's a bridgehead into Europe.
Arguably, the UK is one of the best leisure markets in the entire world. In fact, it has the second highest density of leisure venues per capita in the world. Brits, we love to go out, we love to spend time together, and we like to enjoy ourselves.
So tell us what the business is. What is it that you're selling here in your central London headquarters, a venue that's set to be replicated across the UK?
Well, Sandbox VR is the top class provider of the best virtual reality experiences you can do in the world. So our experiences are around 30 minutes long. You and up to five friends or family members can be transported to alien planets, to pirate ships, to zombie apocalypses. And together as a team, you've got to work together to overcome various challenges. Our technology is world class. There's no one really at our level at this moment.
What can people expect when they go into one of your virtual reality worlds? What do they think and feel? What do they experience?
Well, immersion and immersive experiences, I think, is a trend, especially in the consumer market, that's been growing over the last 5 years. And we offer, all of our technology offers the best immersive experience that can be shared amongst you and your friends. So what does that mean? So when our guests go into our virtual world, they'll all put on motion capture trackers, which will allow our computers and system to provide full body motion capture tracking. So as you move in the real world, your avatar or your virtual self will move in the exact same way. So you can see your friend behind you and high five them. And as your avatar touches their hand, you and the real world do it at the same time. And Sandbox was built on that principle. Virtual reality is best when it's shared with others. That, alongside haptic feedback, which is a vibration, so the virtual world can also interact with you directly, allows all of our guests to be completely immersed into whatever landscape we put them in.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I mean, how far can this go, this whole virtual reality thing? I mean, obviously, Sandbox, you're saying, is at the cutting edge of where we are now. Mm-hmm. What are the limits to this technology?
We don't really know at the moment, and I think that's what's most exciting. I think there's so many avenues that virtual reality can explore. Most people, when they think of virtual reality, they think of the metaverse or films such as Ready Player One, where we'll all be at our own respective homes connecting into the digital world. But Sandbox VR is built on bringing people out of their homes into a common physical place for them then to be transported to the virtual world. And as we've built one of the largest leisure venues in central London, that is our purpose that will be implemented across the UK.
So tell us about one of the specific kind of themes that your VR world offers.
Well, I would say shared immersive, but we've already discussed that. What we're really focused on is being able to provide a variety of virtual reality experiences for everyone, whether that's age, whether that's gender, whether that's preference of entertainment. And really, we see that in our customers. I mean, it is very, very mixed in terms of male to female, very mixed in terms of age. one surprising thing, in fact, is we've got more customers over the age of 35 than under the age of 25. And I think that's one of the clear demands from especially the British public, for a shared experience that's unlike anything they've ever done. Rather than getting on a plane to go to some distant lands, they can come to our venue and be transported to something that's fantastical and absolutely magical in nature.
So just talk us through the kind of virtual reality adventure a family could have if they came here to Sandbox in London or one of the other venues that you're planning to roll out across the UK.
So one of our most popular experiences is called Amber Sky 2088. So you are a team of droids. It's the year 2088. You're in New Hong Kong.
I'll still be around.
Well, we hope so. The planet is being invaded by aliens. You and your fellow droid warriors are going to be sent to one of our space elevators into space to protect the planet. It allows you to be constructive as a team. It allows you to cooperate as a team. It allows you to save the planet. And it's good family fun. It's good fun for everyone of every age.
So what sort of tasks do you have to achieve? What do you mean cooperate as a team? You're all sitting there with kind of headsets on, looking at a computer screen effectively, albeit a very sophisticated one. How do you save the world in that context?
So first and foremost, each of our rooms, which we call holodecks, are around 600 square feet. So you're not actually fixed, you're free roam. So you can wander around our space, which is a massive competitive advantage that we've got.
So this is a really physical experience.
It's very physical, which is why we've got a robotic bartender, why we've got beverages, because people come out and they've worked up a sweat and they need to be rewarded for saving the planet. So you get to move around, it's very active. Whilst it's very active, most people of any ability can do our virtual reality. So for example, in Amber Sky, half of you will be attackers, half of you will be defenders. The defenders will be provided with a shield used to protect the rest of their team. So you have to work and hide behind each other at particular moments, whilst the attackers ensure that the enemy doesn't get close. But as you go up each level towards space, you've got to protect your package, an explosive, which will help defeat the alien invaders up in space. It's mad. I mean, I've changed my life and pursued this because I just think that this is the future of entertainment. And entertainment hasn't had a real step change in much time, and I think it needs that.
You really have changed your life. You were working in asset management before. You're a smart guy. You studied economics and finance at university, and you walked into that Sandbox venue in Singapore. I mean, how instant was your conversion, if you like? How long did it take you to think, you know what? I'm going to convince the owners of this business that they need to entrust me, a relatively young man with all respect, to launch in a major market like the UK. Was it hard to convince them?
I think they recognized my passion for it. I mean, that first experience, after 30 minutes, I quite cinematically lifted up my headset and it just clicked. And in fact, I was with my now fiance girlfriend at the time, and two of her girlmates, and looked at them for kind of to see what I could recognize. And they were as enthused as I was. And we instantly went, like most Brits would say, let's go and have a beer and chat about it. So we went to a local hawker market out in Singapore and had some Tiger beers. And I sat across this table looking at my 3 female friends chat for 2 hours about this virtual reality experience. And I know them very well.
And they were psyched, as you say.
They've never spoken about one topic for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is something special. And I just thought, I'd worked in London. I've lived and worked here for 8 years prior to moving to Singapore. And I couldn't think of a better city to launch this fantastic concept into. And I couldn't think of a better country to expand it into.
Now, a lot of people watching this interview, listening to our conversation, Andy, they'll have ideas, but it's all about, as we say in business, execution, isn't it? Putting ideas into reality, sticking with it through thick and thin. Mm-hmm. You're sitting here, a proud young man, you're launching Sandbox here, smack in the heart of central London, but there must have been lumps and bumps in the road to get here. There must have been times when you thought you wouldn't manage to do this. It's a complex operation, licensing, lots of rigmarole, lots of bureaucracy, lots of hard-nosed negotiation, I imagine.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that journey without breaking any legal agreements.
Absolutely. I actually looked younger probably a year ago than I do now. I mean, I'm known as having a baby face, but I used to look a lot younger probably 12 months ago. It's definitely been difficult, but I think anything new is difficult. It goes against the status quo, and especially you couple that with going into property and a brick and mortar business. It is very difficult. But what I do know is that once we can get our venues up and running, like we've successfully done here, we're going to be here for the long term, and it's worth every ounce of effort. So with respect to that, look, we've now acquired the whole of the UK and Ireland as our franchise territory. So we're very excited to be able to bring Sandbox VR across the country in fairly quick fashion. But with respect to the bureaucracy, look, it's part and parcel of the game. You've just got to keep determined, keep pushing forward. Fortunately,
keep it civil to the extent you can.
Oh, without a doubt. But be able to defend your corner when you need to. Fortunately, I brought on, when I was coming back from Singapore after spending 3 months doing due diligence on the market.
That's like checking out the market, really kicking the tires of the business opportunity.
Looking at that, looking at the competition, trying to figure out where the market was going, looking at the consumer. I came to the conclusion that Sandbox VR was going to be the horse to back. Obviously, me as a franchisee, it's I need to make sure that the person providing the content, the technology is going to be a winner, because that's half the battle. But when I made the decision that Sandbox VR was going to win this race, I wanted to bring someone on to co-found the business with me. And fortunately, there was one person who came straight to mind, and that was Jake Wilmot Sitwell, one of my best mates. We went to Alliance Manchester Business School together, where we both studied the same course. We're both one of 3 boys, so we've got that natural competitive, let's go and take on the world sort of attitudes. And I trust him, with everything. So we've been able to work just seamlessly on kind of building this business, going up against, people that might not want to see us succeed, and really just try and fundamentally shift what's possible in entertainment.
Who creates the software, if you like, the technical gizmo stuff that makes this business work at the heart of this business?
Yep.
Where is that created? And is it static, or is it being developed, redeveloped, advanced all the time?
Yeah. So all of the content from Sandbox VR is predominantly now produced in Hong Kong. That's where the original founder, Steve Zhao, who is a visionary in terms of what entertainment and gaming can offer. Steve had built a veteran team of game developers from EA to Ubisoft to Sony, and they have built what I believe is the best content. That team in Hong Kong is constantly developing new experiences for us as a franchisee and for all of our venues to use. One thing that made me what Sandbox stood out for me is that they've really focused on becoming a studio themselves. Some of our peers and competitors in the space heavily relied on IP from third parties, whether that's Disney, for example.
So intellectual property from Sandbox becoming a studio, creating their own content,
Correct.
Generating their own scenes, if you like,
Exactly.
Developing their own stories
Exactly.
and episodes for people to be part of.
Precisely. Yeah, that is spot on. And that's what really made me change my view on Sandbox as not just a participant in this nascent industry, but a driver of it and a leader of it.
Where is the center of the world when it comes to virtual reality?
It's quite spread out. I think most people now, whenever you hear the word tech and where's the center of it, you think Silicon Valley.
In California, of course.
Of course. But we're seeing a lot of development, especially on the hardware side, coming out of China and Shenzhen. Specifically, for us, we use the Pico Neo 3 headsets. Those are the virtual reality headsets that all of our customers put on.
And where are they made?
That's made in China. One of the leading in hardware is obviously, as we all know, over the last few decades, and specifically working towards more advanced and deep tech, as we'd call it, in the hardware space. But I do think it's fairly well spread out. There's certain places in Central Europe that are really driving virtual reality forward. So it seems to be, in my particular perspective, that there's multiple centers coming up, but it's difficult to say Silicon Valley and California is not necessarily the center, but I definitely see a rising tide across the world at the moment, which gives me a lot of confidence that we're in the right place at the right time.
Now, the Brits, we're obviously a huge market. We're a particularly vibrant market for leisure experiences. As you've said, Andy, we obviously produce a lot of very driven young entrepreneurs like yourself. We're good at fronting things up. We're good at presenting things. We're good at staging events, aren't we? Where are we in terms of the creation of both the hardware, the kit, and the software, the intelligence, the computer programming behind this kind of technology?
I would say the biggest standout is for us as a consumer market. Definitely we've got the highest demand and appetite for the most entertaining experience that you can offer. From another side though, we use the Cambridge company VCon systems for our motion capture, which I believe is one of our standout features for our virtual reality system.
Just to explain that, what motion capture, what do you mean by that?
So we'll all remember, well maybe some of the more younger viewers of your show may not remember, but we all remember Andy Serkis playing Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and many of us may even recall the suit that he wore, which was covered with balls. And what that allows us to do in kind of the motion capture space is our cameras can pick up those balls and they can predict the body behind it. So our algorithms can match or seek out each of those balls and build a 3D model of Andy Serkis, for example, which they can then apply an overlay of a character such as Gollum. And that's what you see in the finished edit of the film. We use very similar technology to that. And actually the company that provides that hardware is based in Cambridge. Just 50 miles away from here. And it was very surprising when the Sandbox team knew that we were in contact with them, and we were in very much a clear alliance of trying to provide the best motion capture experience out there for the public.
Now, there's a lot of hubbub here at your HQ in Tottenham Court Road in central London. Mm-hmm. This is your launch. Can you tell us where else in the UK you think, what do you call them? Shops, venues, Sandbox. What's the collective noun for a virtual reality?
I would say it's a venue, but as I've always said with the rest of my team, the experience for our customers starts the moment you walk in the door.
The venue's in your mind, really, isn't it? That's why I hesitate.
I mean, we'll take a walk around shortly, but this is truly something that I don't think anyone's expecting.
Where else in the UK will people be able to soon experience this?
So we'll be launching in Birmingham in around April next year, sorry. We've also got sites in Liverpool, Manchester and Dublin coming up for next year as well.
What's the future for Sandbox, and what's the future for your part in the Sandbox story?
I've got one goal here, and that's to turn Sandbox into not just the leading location-based virtual reality brands in the UK and Ireland, but a leading entertainment brand. And there's many avenues that me and the team are going to be exploring. One of the most exciting is virtual sports. My personal belief is that we could be the bridge between traditional sports and esports, which most people, when they read the news about esports, all they hear about is vastly growing fast numbers with viewership online. I think we can offer the bridge between. So esports
is a kind of computer-generated horse race as opposed to a horse race, right?
I would say, I mean, that's probably a simplified way to see it.
I'm a journalist, forgive me.
Yeah, exactly. Esports is growing incredibly fast. It is the fastest growing sports in the world right now, globally. I mean, it is growing everywhere incredibly fast, especially with the younger generation, as you can imagine. But for yourself and me, it's very inaccessible because we might not play the games. I mean, Dota 2 or CSGO, games you might never even heard of, to watch players play it is very difficult to understand what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's a big industry in its own right, that gaming industry, right?
But anyone on this planet can see Cristiano Ronaldo do a flying bicycle kick into the goal, will appreciate that, or see Usain Bolt run the 100 meters in 9.5 seconds. We understand that because we as humans can appreciate that physical accomplishment.
Because we did 13 seconds or something when we were at school.
Oh, I mean, I thought you'd have been 12, to be honest. I saw a decent amount of momentum building up. With virtual sports, because in our rooms, your body is the controller, there is a physical nature behind it. And so just from that feature alone, I think the accessibility of virtual sports is greater than esports, whilst we combine all of the fantastical technology and graphics and gameplay that esports offer. So one thing that we'll be doing is launching the first virtual sports tournament in the UK, and that will be coming later this year.
And what is the vision for Sandbox UK in 10 years' time? Where will the company be? Andy, where will you be?
I will be hopefully running the largest entertainment network of venues in the UK and Ireland. We will be targeting over 50 venues within 10 years, if not more, depending on how we do in the first 2 years. We've got a fantastic investor base. We've got a fantastic board and management team. So we're building the infrastructure to turn this company into a recognizable brand that everyone on the street will recognize.
Andy Scanlon, best of luck.
Thank you very much.
With Sandbox.
Thank you.
Not too bad. Thanks a lot. You're looking well, by the way. Can I get your number? Thanks a lot for listening to Money Talks with me, Liam Halligan, Economics and Business Editor of GB News. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you're listening. Do subscribe to this podcast and also check out my daily television show, On the Money, at 1 p.m. Monday to Friday on GB News or via the GB News app. GB News, Britain's news channel.